All right, guys. Today we're going to have a little discussion with a friend of mine about local and regional riding groups for your trikes or bikes. We think it's important. And who is we? Well, there is Sylvia Halpern. Hi, Sylvia.
Woohoo! Good morning.
You are ensconced there in California, I understand. Is that right?
Yep, Crescent City, California, visiting my sister.
All right, very good. Well, Sylvia and I have talked for quite some time about various ways to increase the ridership and enjoyment of ridership of recumbent bikes and trikes. And one of the things that we both participate in and have talked about for a long time are groups of like-minded folks that get together to ride. I call them impromptu groups. And in fact, I started an impromptu group that I named the Impromptu Trike Riders of Central Ohio to start out with, and then later changed it to just Ohio as we started gathering more folks from around the state. So let's start off, if I could. Sylvia, let me talk to the folks about what an impromptu group is, and then I'm going to get a lot of your thoughts on how they can be constituted and improved and what they do and all that sort of thing. So, all right, so an impromptu group, it is a group of like-minded people. It's really built around last-minute impromptu rides. So many of us are out there. We have our bikes and trikes. We may want to ride with someone, but we don't know anybody. And I have found, and I think Sylvia has as well, that it's a lot more fun to be able to ride with a group. And there's a lot of other benefits of it as well. So the groups are built around impromptu rides. Occasionally, there may be some organized rides. We have done that as well. I find that most of our rides, the vast majority of them, are done on local trails or regional trails or trail systems. And I guess we'll talk about various groups that we are both aware of, but I wanted to start out with the group that I started, and hopefully that'll shed a little light on all of the groups. So yes, the Impromptu Trike Riders of Ohio. I started the group in July of 2017. We have well over 600 members now. I checked the stats this morning. We have about 75 posts per month and over 250 comments on those posts per month. So it's a pretty active group. We recruit new members basically by word of mouth, and I think this goes for most of the groups. These folks join the Facebook group, and then they go out and ride, and then other people see them, or they talk to their friends who ride. They want to join the group, and that's probably the best way to recruit new members that I know of. And we also have a fairly large number of members from outside the area, which seems a little counterintuitive. But it's because a lot of our members travel widely with their trikes. Travels by trikes. That's an interesting little concept. Sylvia knows a little something about. So they're out there traveling. Maybe they go to Florida or Carolinas, wherever they travel, and they're riding with other groups. And those people learn about our group, so they'll join. And also, we have a really nice trail system here in Ohio that's known around the country. And folks maybe have looked that up or heard about it, and they find that it's a great thing for them to join the Impromptu Trike Riders of Ohio, because then they can ask questions about the local trails, maybe see if they can ride with some local people who turn out to be like guides for them, and that works out really well too. So that's really been my experience. I love our local group. We have some great members. Some of them assist me with administering the group. So it's been a lot of fun. Sylvia, so tell me about some of the other groups that you're aware of. I know you've ridden with a number of them. What's been your experience with other groups in the States?
There are quite a few groups, and for me, it's just so much fun Like last summer, I did a cross country tour, and I would let people know when I was coming on Facebook, and they would put together rides. And it's so fun for me to meet people where they ride, probably people maybe who have followed me for a long time. I certainly know who they are as well, and they know where they're going. So it's fabulous for me. And then I get some camaraderie. I get off the road, and it's really, really great. Very generous, wonderful people. And I would say the group in Ohio is probably one of the bigger groups.
I think that's true. There are some pretty large groups that I've encountered, and I know you have too. Do you want to talk about a couple of these? So I know there's a more recent one called the Impromptu with Luchi Riders.
Yeah, that's probably one of the older, the Withlacoochee Trail there. They've been the crabs, the crabs.
The crabs in Central Florida, they have been around a very long time. And that's still, I think, a very active group, right?
And I think that trail has more recumbents and probably trikes now than any other trail I've ever been on.
We're talking now about the Withlacoochee again.
Yeah, the Withlacoochee. Yeah, it's really fun.
It is.
There's more trikes than uprights. I mean, it's really unusual to see, and you're like, wow, look at us.
We have experienced that as well. So, yeah, that's a very active group, and it's a very attractive trail. The Crabs in Central Florida. I have ridden a number of years ago with a group called the Bent Society of Southern Florida, a great group of guys. I don't know if they're still very active, but my buddy Bob Brown is down there, and I know he's active with the group or has been. Sylvia, you mentioned to me this group called the Trike Squadron.
Yeah, that's Glenn Frank, and he probably has maybe the oldest group. And I think he was one of the first to do YouTube videos with trike rides, and his videos were very, very popular. And he is in Southern California. He rides the Santa Ana River Trail mostly, and they're very active. They're still very active. They've got a long trails to ride, and they can go to the coast, and so they've got some nice options, and they are fast. This is not a group that rides to eat. Typically, they do not eat, and they just ride fast. Like we'll be averaging 14, 15 miles an hour. Yeah.
Okay. And that's something we're going to get into a little bit later here as we talk about some of the details of what one does when you organize a ride or talk about riding in this group. So we'll get to that in a little bit. And how about in your more local area up in Oregon? There's a group that has a very important history. They've been going for a long time. And I know our buddy Paul Hine is a major factor in that too. Tell us about that group.
Yeah, the Pacific Northwest Recumbent Cycling Group. It used to be OHPV, and they were responsible for the Portland International Raceway rides. And of course, everything's gone to electric assist now. So they changed the name and to Pacific Northwest Recumbent Cycling Group. But they are also the group that puts on the Recumbent Retreat in September on the Oregon coast. And it's going to be the 26th year of the Recumbent Retreat this year. So
when is that? Do you know when that's going to be, Sylvia?
Yeah, it's always the second weekend in September. So it's the weekend. Well, it's the weekend after Labor Day is when it is. It's always that weekend, and it's always at Fort Stevens State Park in Warrenton, Oregon. It's right where the Columbia River and the Pacific Ocean meet, which is the border between Oregon and Washington. It's absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, it's a super fun ride.
All right. So fun is an important factor of all of this, and that's the first thing I have listed in this part of the evaluation of these groups, where I ask why should I or why should anyone join or even start such a group. So Sylvia, tell us really what are some of the benefits of joining, or if there isn't a local group, starting one in your area.
I really think the biggest benefit is community. I think it's, a lot of people go to a bike shop and maybe they have a balance issue or a back issue and they can't do upright anymore. And so they go to a bike shop and they're so excited. Oh my gosh, they found the perfect solution. They can continue cycling. It's a very important part of their lives. And then, but they don't really feel comfortable being with the upright riders, at least not in the beginning. And so it's just a really fun way to meet people, like-minded people, and to learn all the trails and places to ride, as well as events, things that are happening in your area.
Right. And also, how about learning about other people's bikes or trikes, right? I mean, so everyone that rides now is interested in, maybe what their next bike or trike is going to be, and they want to see what everyone else is riding, and everyone loves to talk about that, right?
Yes, for sure. I think looking at how other people have their trikes set up is very helpful. And then too, people have issues, nagging problems, and they don't necessarily want to call a bike shop every time they have a question about their trike. And so it's a really easy way to post a question and get an answer from the group.
Right. And there's always a lot of experts in any of these groups that have a lot of experience and can help you with that. All right. So let's say this is exciting. You want to ride with these folks. You check Facebook, but you cannot find a local group. This is certainly going to be the case with a number of people around the country. So what if you want to start a group?
Well, I personally believe that Facebook is the best vehicle for that. It's kind of a demographic thing as well, but I think most people are pretty comfortable using Facebook. I think it gets really hard if you try to get spread out over different social media platforms, and then you have to update them, and you can't, where are people responding, and it gets a little bit complicated. So I suggest just sticking with Facebook. And
no matter whether you like Facebook or not, it's we have to admit it's where the people are. And doing an email list or something, it's just not the same as being able to quickly post and having everyone look with a notification that something's going on in your local group. So I certainly agree with that.
And people can also, respond with a question or a correction, and everybody's going to see it all at once.
In one place.
It's really important. Yeah.
So, right. So you'll start the Facebook group if there is none in your area, and pick an area. Pick us. If you live in a place with a large population, maybe it'll just be a city or metropolitan area. If there's not maybe so many riders in that area, you'll pick a region, Central Ohio, Central Oregon or something. Or maybe if there aren't even that many members in that particular area, maybe you'll go with an entire state, depending on that. But you'll pick a region or an area. And then, you start posting rides. I mean, that's really how you get started, yeah?
I think so. And it's pretty easy to set up a group on Facebook. And then, of course, you have to, how do you let people know that you've set this thing up? And I have a YouTube channel, and so I have to let people know whenever I post a video. I can't just post a video and think everyone's going to know that I've posted it. I have to let people know. So I go to all the different Facebook pages, or a number, maybe 3 or 4, and I will post on there. And you can do that with your group as well, to let people know that you've got this group and you are, happy to have people join it.
Right, like the Facebook Trike. Facebook Recumbent Trike group and those sort of things.
Yeah. Recumbent Riders is probably the biggest group.
Riders, yeah.
I would for sure put it there. And Recumbent, I think there's Recumbent Trike Rides is another big one. Yeah. And you have to post more, pretty often for people to know that it's there. It takes a while for people to understand that it's out there. And it's a little bit more, probably takes a little bit longer than people realize. Yeah.
And as we mentioned before, you can, as the group starts to grow, even if you have a small kernel of people, make sure that they spread the word whenever they're riding with other folks, right? That you
Yes.
have this group, that will help. And how about recumbent shops? This is something I know you're interested in. Can you get support from local bike shops?
I would hope so. I think it's a really, personally, I think it's a really good idea. I think it would benefit the bike shops a lot if they could let their customer know what's out there, the different Facebook groups, Facebook pages, YouTube channels, different events. There's a lot going on that people may not be aware of just because they buy a trike.
Good. All right, so let's talk about some details of these rides themselves. The first thing that comes to mind, and I know you have a lot of experience and had gone through this yourself. So there are those trike riders say that just pedal and don't have any assistance. And then there are those with the assist, which is getting to be a very large percentage of riders. You want to avoid tensions between those people, and there are legitimate conflicts in speed and such with this. How would you suggest folks approach rides with both people just pedaling and those that have the assist?
I personally think it's really important to have a minimum speed for the rides. If it's a really small group, it's going to be no one is left behind. Otherwise, there's no point in really having the rides if half the group is just going to go ahead and you've only got 4 or 5 people. So it really should be no one is left behind. And people want to feel safe, and this is a really big issue for getting people out riding. Period. Is there's a lot of trepidation about where they ride or even the trail safe. I know so many people are not going to be road riding anymore, but people are feeling not necessarily as safe on trails either. They want to be out there with other people. So I think it's really important to say this is a no one is left behind ride, or if you've got people who are much, much faster, have a separate ride and say, hey, our minimum speed is 12 miles an hour, or whatever it is. I mean, you're probably going to be on a trail, so you can't go all out on a trail, but 12 miles an hour seems to be the next level.
So make sure it's well understood how what the general speed will be, and also how about distances, because that can be intimidating for people as well. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think most of the riding that I have done, I think even with the Impromptu Trike Riders of Ohio, we knew exactly how long the ride was, where we were stopping, probably for lunch. That's definitely a ride to eat group, and so you knew that it was a loop ride. You knew what time it started, what time you expected to be back, that kind of thing. Yeah.
There are 2 groups, speaking back to the idea of making people comfortable and wanting to join in on the rides. There's 2 other groups of people I can think of that should probably be addressed in these groups too. Those with adaptive needs may have some other things that need to be thought of before the ride starts, and we need to include those folks. And how about brand new riders? These are some of the people that we're trying to entice to join these groups to get the full enjoyment of riding. They just bought their new trike, and they want to find some people to ride with, but they don't really know how fast they might be able to go or how far, because they just got their trike a week ago or something.
Yeah.
What's the best way you think to make that inclusive for those folks?
What my very first recumbent was a Easy Racer Gold Rush, and I did a group ride for my very first ride, and I just told them. And Edna, you probably know Edna Van Gundy, she totally took me under her wing, and she guided me through the ride and was fabulous, fantastic. So I think it's really just important to let people know, maybe you have concerns. Would it be okay if I ask some questions, or make sure it's no one is left behind, so that there's always somebody to ride with, because you don't want to have technical issues and suddenly you're way back the pack, and maybe you're worried no one's even going to know that you've had a mechanical. So yeah, it's important that people know that there's what kind of ride it is.
Let people know in the group when you get there. And I think you'll find that there will be someone who will take you under their wing, as happened to you. I think that's something that's very common, the good folks riding. So I think that would be a good way to approach that. Some other things maybe to post about your ride, if you're going to post a ride or if you're looking for rides, what you might be interested in are some stops that you might want to make on the way. What kind of stops do you think need to be noted?
Yeah, I think probably, as we get older, bathrooms are really important. I mean, I don't care what kind of a ride it is. Everybody wants to know where is the bathroom? That's really important. Yeah. And then of course you want to know if there's going to be a stop for food or not. I mean, I don't think anybody has trouble bringing snacks with them, but if they're counting on, expecting that there would be a meal somewhere along the way.
Or in my experience, even more specifically, like what restaurants are we going to hit? Because even though you talked about that one group who doesn't ride to eat, a lot of groups do ride to eat, and that's a big part of the attraction of that ride. So yeah, let them know what. Maybe you're heading for a particular restaurant that everyone likes, or get suggestions and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I did a great ride with your group out of Cincinnati, and we crossed a bridge into Kentucky and had a lovely meal at a German restaurant. It was really great. Yeah.
It's a great way to do that. And points of interest, right? I mean, sometimes there's interesting things on a route, especially for those folks that are visiting your area and might be joining your group for a ride. You want to show them the highlights of things that of historical nature or just something that stands out they may not see everywhere else.
For sure. Absolutely. People have taken me on rides in New Mexico, in Oklahoma, in Missouri. I mean, wonderful trails in Maryland, Virginia. It's really great. I had this group take me all over Washington, D.C. I mean, incredible.
Yeah, there's a few things to see in that area.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. So let's talk about why maybe there aren't more riders participating in this, or maybe how we can get more riders to participate in this. What do you see as the way forward here? How do we encourage more people to do this?
Yeah, I really think it's important for like kind of all hands on deck. Like I think the manufacturers, the vendors, the bike shops, just people in the area. I think there needs to be more content in general on social media talking about triking and probably recumbents in general. And I think if the bike shops are selling, then I think it would be really great if they could let their new customers know what's happening, the different places to get information and people to hook up with. And I really think a lot of people are looking for community, and I think it benefits absolutely everybody all throughout to talk about the different places and things that people can do with their trikes.
Absolutely. So, folks, as you can see, Sylvia and I are both big proponents of getting people to ride together in a community, which is what we all are. This is a big factor that we would like to support. Sylvia, you want to sum it up?
There's just one more aspect of this that I would like to talk about, and that is, once you get going with a group, people will start posting a lot more, and you're going to have more people want to join the group, and you'll probably want to put in some safeguards for your group because pretty soon the bots are going to get a hold of it. And so personally, I will not accept somebody if they're missing their avatar or their banner. So the little round picture, it's usually your face, but it can be whatever. It needs to be filled in. And then the banner across the top of the page, it needs to be filled in too. I personally won't accept anyone that doesn't have those two things. And then the other thing is, once it gets going, it can be a bit of work. People are needing to be approved. you need to be kind of keeping an eye on the post, make sure that, there's not something funny going on. People are trying to sell stuff from Temu or whatever. And so pretty soon it's going to be a little bit extra work, and you're going to want to have more administrators. I know personally, I'm an administrator on probably 5 or 6 different groups, and we all kind of just help each other with that. So when people want to join, you just, they don't have to wait around.
Absolutely.
And also
advice.
when people want to join, have questions. Have questions for them to answer. If people don't answer the questions, I don't bother with them. That's personally how I deal with it.
No, I think that's some really good advice for administrators. We have, including myself, 4 admins on the Ohio group. And yes, it is a bit of work. It's a lot of fun, kind of rewarding. And it's something you could do to help your group continue on and hopefully grow as well. So it's a nice thing to do. All right, Sylvia. Well, great. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today. Hopefully we'll get lots of folks to comment during the live show, and I think you'll be with us there to answer. We'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this. So join an impromptu group or start one yourself, folks. I think you'll really enjoy that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody out on their rides.